Welcome back, everybody, to another All Things MSP update. Now, this vendor is no stranger to all things MSP. They have done a couple of vendor updates before, as well as actually contributed some educational content to this community. So we really do appreciate that on their part. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Terry Hedden from Marketopia. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Eric. Great to see you.
Great to see you. How is the great state of Florida today?
It's beautiful. This time of year is a little bit of crispness in the air, not too much, like a 55-degree Christmas and crispness. And it's refreshing, it's so warm so much of the year. And so we're really enjoying this little cold burst that'll last a couple of weeks before it gets back to the 70s.
Well, that's nice because it's 19 here today.
Oh my gosh. It hasn't been below 32 at my house in over 20 years.
Yeah, and we're not that much farther north, right?
Yeah.
They're saying we could get 5 to 6 inches of snow like next Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's crazy. It's been a weird year. It feels like it's kind of setting up for a lot more southern coldness than normal, which, it's fun every once in a while, right? Eric, it could be a lot worse. You could live up in Buffalo where this is a daily occurrence for 6 months a year.
Oh, yeah, that lake effect snow. I know all about it. All right, so let's get into it because this is Marketopia's annual update, and we want to share what's new at Marketopia. But before we do that, if there's anybody who's not familiar with Marketopia, go ahead and give the quick elevator pitch.
Absolutely. Eric, we pride ourselves on being a much more comprehensive partner when it comes to growth for MSPs and vendors. We've kind of deviated from just trying to be the cheapest product out there and really try to bring a solution that actually turns the dial, actually increases revenue, improves profit, and increases valuation over time. So we're really proud of that focus on the results, the goal, versus so many people who focus on the cost and in the end of the day kind of don't deliver much. We were really proud of what we've done over the last decade. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary about 4 months ago, and we're really excited about what we're bringing to market here in the next decade.
Awesome. So in terms of, because I know you serve two different markets, you serve both MSPs as well as vendors in the MSP space. What kind of activities are you doing for MSPs and what's new this year?
Yeah. So one of the things that when we launched, we were 100% MSP and we were 100% digital marketing. And the reason was I thought that MSPs kind of had, the sales part figured out pretty well, that it was mostly about finding people who might be interested and they would really, chase them and close them successfully. Quickly realized that they could use more help than that. They need to be, given an appointment and a little bit of background on the prospect and maybe a head start on the sales process. And so our solution set really encompasses 3 different things. One is marketing, traditional marketing, digital SEO, pay-per-click, website development, that type of stuff. And we do that both in a really inexpensive syndicated way, and then we do it in a more of a high-end custom way. And then we do lead generation, where we actually set appointments for people using digital marketing, pay-per-click type stuff, as well as telemarketing. And then the final thing is to really drive sales and profit. And so we teach people how to close deals at a higher profit margin. And we do the same services for MSPs that we do for vendors. And why that matters to MSPs is it's not cheap. It's not crappy. It's good enough for one of the biggest vendors in the community. It's good enough for one of the smallest MSPs. It's the same people, the same services effectively. And we're just bringing a premium product to market for people who are sick of wasting money on stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think it's smart actually to address both sides, the vendor as well as the MSP, mainly for the reason that the MSP channel, this little bubble that we kind of live in, is very different from the rest of the IT channel.
It sure is. I mean, in a lot of good ways, right? The focus on recurring revenue is something that makes us beautiful and special. Our customers tend to keep their customers when we get a new one for 7 years, 10 years, sometimes even longer. It's a lot easier to invest in something when you've got a 120-month residual income stream or more. It's a lot easier to make that upfront investment necessary to capture the client and the revenue. Whereas I can't imagine, Eric, I've had a lot of companies and some of them have been sort of transactional in nature. It's really hard every month when you start off with $0 on the top line of your P&L and you're struggling to make payroll, and one of the benefits of our industry is that recurring revenue stream. But I think there's a lot to be said for the transactional stuff too. And I think the MSPs of the world are starting to awaken to being flexible and finding customers, regardless of where they are in their maturation process in terms of how they see technology, sell them what they're willing to buy, build that relationship so that you can earn the trust necessary to sell them a truly quality solution that addresses cybersecurity and compliance concerns and gives the customer the freedom from worrying about their technology.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you mentioned lifetime value of a customer being extremely long in the MSP business. And that is typically completely by accident. It is not because the MSP is great. It's usually because the customer doesn't want to switch. Now, that has changed over time. I'm more describing back when I got started in this, which is a long time ago, if anybody knows. And as long as you did a decent job and were nice to the customer, nice to the client, you would keep that client for 7 to 10 years, exactly what you're talking about. And that's one of those things that has always made this business really nice for IT people who are traditionally not really good people. And so the ability to hold on to a customer long term has a lot of value, but that's also a difference that I see between the MSPs themselves and the vendors that serve them. The MSPs are a little more picky about their tool sets and how vendors treat them and are willing to switch a little bit faster. And so I think the vendors struggle a little bit with this when this industry is as unique as it is with holding on to lifetime value.
I think you're spot on. And I think it has a lot to do with vendors starting to awaken to what it means to be a partner. It's not enough to create a great software product that works, right? Maybe that's where that worked a decade ago. Now MSPs are starting to be awakened to the fact that there's the difference between a partner who creates a tool for you and one that helps you succeed and helps you achieve revenue and profit growth. That's a partner. And so you're seeing MSPs start to gravitate toward vendors who want to be real partners to them and help them grow their business. And it's more than just a transaction, buy more, buy more, buy more. It's more like, hey, listen, we're going to help you on your journey. We're going to meet you where you are, whether you're a 2-person MSP that's got $10,000 in recurring revenue or even zero. We're going to help you get to the $5, $10, $20 million annual recurring revenue that means you have a business worth selling. That you can retire on it, that the blood, sweat, and tears that so many of us spend decades doing and giving to grow our business ends up yielding something. And that's where I really see the vendors starting to drive innovation in the channel. It's the evolved vendors that get it. And then the MSPs that can see it. It's like, oh, wait, I don't just buy from you because you have a cool tool. I buy from you because, you're going to help me achieve my goals.
Yeah. And that is very important for the vendors to understand. And there are so many vendors that get into this space because they're adjacent or they've been selling direct to IT departments or whatever it is. And they try to break into the MSP space, not understanding how very different it is. What do you do for a vendor client like that of yours when they are coming in and want to engage in the MSP channel?
We really do two things. One is that we help drive down the cost of finding good MSPs. I think a lot of vendors are sick and tired of the conferences and the price of those conferences going up every single year. And frankly, the MSPs at the conference being less and less tolerant of the vendor message being pounded at them the entire time. And so we kind of bring down that cost by using just marketing and sales. Like we actually help the vendor evolve past I got to spend $250,000 at a booth at a big show, and that's how I'm gonna grow my business. I'm like, hey, listen, for a fraction of that cost per qualified sales appointment, you can have a consistent flow of leads in January, February, March, and not just have them concentrated toward the end of the year. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing that we do. And the other thing that we do is to go to a partner and say, listen, if you want to grow channel revenue, you've got to grow your channel partners. And so we help them evolve past a software or hardware vendor into being more of a partner that goes to the MSP and says, "Hey, listen, Eric, I know you're a 5-person MSP and you're doing $500,000 in recurring revenue, and that's wonderful, and you should be proud of that. But I want to talk to you about a program that helps you leverage not just the products that we created, but the training and the marketing and sales assets and the business training that we give you to help evolve your business and elevate and help you create a lead generation engine for your business that not just sells our products but also yours and teaches you how to find and close net new clients, not just depending on word of mouth leads that so many MSPs mistakenly depend on. And I think that approach is what is you're seeing more and more vendors sort of up level and get more partners because of it. And I think it helps the community. I think that's why you're seeing a lot more MSPs that are growing 25% a year, 35% a year, 45% a year, is because the vendors are trying to help them do that to everyone's benefit.
Yeah, and I think you see a trend absolutely with vendors who are engaged with the community and producing the sales, the marketing, the training to go along with their product. I think you see MSPs gravitating towards those companies rather than the ones that are just coming in and saying, we have a partner program, here's your discount, good luck.
Exactly. The old ones that they call a partner program, it's really a product program. We're going to help you buy our product. Yay. And the MSPs are like, cool, thank you. Whereas the more evolved ones, you were saying, hey, listen, it's a partnership. We get it.
Right.
We understand that you may not be, 100-person MSP with a robust sales and marketing program with a CPA on staff, and you're driving 20-30% bottom line profit. We get it. But you know what? If you partner with us, we're going to help you get there. We're going to give you what you need to move you along your journey to create a profitable, successful MSP. So yeah, buy our widget, partner with us. And if you do that, we're going to help you achieve your goals.
And that's really the difference between a lot of the old school VAR programs and the new age, I'll call it new age, sounds cooler, MSP programs.
Yeah.
Is that VAR is built around a company that is going to resell a product, maybe provide the professional services to help deploy it, but then they're pretty much hands off.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamic is completely different with MSPs because the MSP is offering an ongoing service. And so they're interacting constantly with these clients. And if they're using those tools or delivering certain products to the clients, that means they're dealing with the vendor on a continual basis as well. And so that relationship is much more important at a community type level.
I totally agree. And I think if you're a smart MSP, that's what you're looking for. You don't go to a conference thinking, oh, who has the coolest swag or who has the biggest booth. You're asking them real business questions like, hey, tell me about your program. Like not the product, but the program. What's around the product? And give me a reason to switch that's not about a feature of a product.
Yep.
And I think if you do that and you surround yourself with vendors that genuinely care about you and your success, you're going to be more successful.
Yeah, I've absolutely seen partners that came, or not partners, but vendors that come in with a commodity type product, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that everybody needs, but is not unique in the way that it's delivered, right? Everybody pretty much delivers it the same exact way. They report on it the same way, etc. The difference is those vendors that sell it as an opportunity to the MSP and sell the program and not the product tend to be the ones who excel.
Absolutely. And the reason is very simple, Eric. It's really hard to build a product that's materially better than competitors. You might start off that way. You might come to market with a fancy new widget that's 10% better than everybody else, but it's not that difficult these days for software developers to add an enhancement to a product, and so it's difficult to maintain that product lead. So it's a lot better to compete at the partnership level. It's like, hey, we're going to care about you more. We're going to
Yeah.
help you more. We're going to teach you more. We're going to help you achieve your dreams better. And at the end of the day, the product doesn't matter as much. The reality is, these days, with the possible exception of cybersecurity when it comes to AI threat kind of related things, there's very little delta between so many products out there, right? The differences are relatively minor. A lot of them, even it's about GUI, graphical design, like usability. Like, we can get around that if you help me grow my business. If you teach me how to get 10 more sales appointments a month, I'll freaking deal with the fact that your screen's green and I prefer it to be blue. You know what I mean? I can deal with the product variation. So what we're seeing right now is the vendors are starting to step back and go, and sometimes it's a reality check from us saying, hey, listen, man, I just want you to know that I know you think your product's better, but from the outside world, it's pretty darn comparable with everybody else. So the reality is you can spend $20 million making your business, your product maybe 5% better than everybody else. But for 200 grand or 20 grand, you can make your partnership better. And I can assure you that the MSP that's struggling to achieve their goals and wondering why the last couple of years haven't resulted in the growth, and wondering why the top 5% of MSPs are growing at 20, 30, and 40% a year, and they're stuck in the single digits or maybe even shrinking. We're going to help you do that. And you can move a needle for a lot of MSPs for a fraction of the cost of what it takes to create a truly differentiated product.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to switch back to MSPs for a minute because we've been talking about vendors. And I want your take because you mentioned referrals and how good they were back in the day. And absolutely 100% agree. And there still seems to be a lot of sentiment as well as a little bit of proof that referrals still work. They just don't work as well as they used to. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to hear your take on why that is.
Nothing's better than a referral. The reality is, if someone that the prospect trusts recommends you start, if it's a 10-step ladder and at the top is a 5-year managed service agreement, you're going to start off on step 7. So nothing beats a word of mouth referral. And so we don't recommend shying away from them at all. What we recommend, however, is adding to them with a normal lead generation program, because depending on word of mouth leads is it's what gets MSPs to 750K in revenue, maybe $1 million in revenue, but it's not what gets them to 20 million in revenue. It's not what creates an MSP worth 10 million when it comes to sell. So, and the reason is because there's just not enough word of mouth leads. Even if you get really good, and we have some great training on how to increase the number of word of mouth leads you get. The reality is, as your denominator in revenue grows, to achieve the percentage annual growth that we dream about, it takes more and more and more and more leads. And your dad only has so many friends, and your CPA only has so many clients. The reality is, there's thousands of companies in your market right now looking for a new MSP. Maybe they're dissatisfied with the price, their incumbent. Maybe the incumbent's unreliable. Or maybe they've got a threat. Maybe they've shown that they place trust in an MSP that they shouldn't have. And the key to really sustainable growth is to not just depend on those word of mouth leads, but to take them and market to them to get more of them, but also add on to them as many leads as you can afford to get that are people just interested in buying a new product or service. In terms of whether there's more leads than there used to be word of mouth, I don't think there's any question there's been a drop. And the reason is because, Eric, I don't know about you, but if I'm looking for a new CPA, let's say my taxes are too expensive now and I want to look out there and see what's around. In the olden days, I might call my attorney or my buddy who knows a lot of CPAs and say, hey, who would you recommend? These days, what do? You
look on the internet.
Yeah, you may even ask ChatGPT, right? Hey, who are the best CPAs in my market for people in the IT service business? and ChatGPT will bring that back to you. You don't ask your trusted advisors as much as you used to. So while they're great, and if you market to your referral partners and remind them that you exist, you'll find that you'll get more referrals from them. Savvy business owners don't depend solely on that. You can't simply grow your business through word of mouth marketing and achieve the kind of growth rate that we should in this industry of 10, 20, 30% annual growth should be an expectation for an MSP that understands how to run a business. It's not that difficult to grow. I grew 50% a year for a decade. It's not hard to grow. You just have to do what it takes to achieve it. And so, that's what I would say is that get the word of mouth. You should have a 100% close ratio when someone else puts you on a pedestal, but don't let that stop you. Reinvest the proceeds from those deals into a lead generation engine and a sales engine that can put your business on growth autopilot.
Yeah, I think that's you made some important points there, and I just want to highlight them. Number one is that counting on referrals is just very random, right? Because you don't know when somebody's going to refer you. Mm-hmm. Now, you can supercharge that by being intentional about going out and getting referrals. Now, as soon as you do that, as soon as you start asking for referrals, those referrals are now a little less valuable because you're pushing for them, right? They're still a lot more valuable than a cold lead, but they're a little less valuable. But you've created some more consistency by going out and asking for referrals. But when that's not enough, and quite frequently in this industry, it's not anymore, you have to supplement that with leads from somewhere else, just like you said, to get the numbers to maintain consistency. You have to do a certain amount of work to get a certain amount of product or expectation. And that's really where I think referrals have dipped, but are still, like you said, highly valuable. You just have to be more intentional because there's a lot more competition out there.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
So, Terry, thank you so much for joining us again. Again, we ran over because you and I tend to have great discussions about this, and I love chatting with you about all the stuff that's changing in the market. Really do appreciate it, and hope we see you on something else next, in 2025 to help all of the MSP community grow.
Look forward to it, Eric. Happy to help in any way I can. I appreciate the opportunity and wish you a happy new year and good luck in 2025, making it the best year yet.
Thank you.